hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. Yeah, I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah.
Buddy, happy Friday. We made it. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. Spencer, JC, Steve, with you this morning. What do we got going on? Let's see. Today's guest, Christian Tharp. He sent over some nice charts of the Qs and the Bitcoin and the bonds. So we'll talk about that. It's Crypto Friday, so we got to talk crypto. We'll have Louis Sykes join us in a few minutes to talk about crypto with him. He runs our ASC crypto service. What else do we have? Alfonso, the chart wizard himself, will join us later on in the show. Yesterday, we did not talk about a lot of things that are in the dock. We didn't talk about the Reddit IPO, so I'd like to hit on that. We should probably talk about Nike and Lulu and FedEx this morning. They all had earnings in the overnight session. We'll talk about that. Good morning, chat. Dr. Horton, Dawson, Jason, what is that? Goodell? What's up, Goodell? Hot Pepper, good to see you all. James Quinton, projected enable. Okay. Good morning, Joe. What's up? Glad you guys made it. Let's get this show on the road here.
Hey now, ladies and gents, I got to tell you, I really do enjoy when Strazza wears his orange and green. Can I just tell you that? Really makes me happy, Strazza.
What's the name of the store? The All Cane store? Right?
Dude, the fact that our homeboy Josh Brown is wearing orange and green everywhere because his daughter's going to school there now. Like, you know, I love how you guys are all embracing my culture. Like, this was my childhood, going to the Orange Bowl in the 80s. Makes me so happy, Strazza. So happy.
Too bad they're not in the tournament this year.
It's a football school. Let's be serious. They went to the Elite Eight. They went to the Final Four. But let's remember where our heart is. You know, this is South Florida. This isn't Chicago or
Florida.
Philly or New York.
Leave South Florida alone. Put up some big numbers last year. 2 teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, notice how surprised everybody was by that. You see, we play football. We play football down there. We play baseball. You know.
Spencer and I with some great sleeper picks yesterday on day one. Duquesne and NC State. Hey now.
I was doing really well until Kentucky screwed me. But
I got recruited to go to school in Duquesne. Can you imagine if I would have gone to Duquesne instead of Fairfield?
Oh, Dukes.
I would have been a bummer.
Is there another college basketball school you would rather see lose though than John Calipari in Kentucky?
Probably not.
A lot of people hate Duke.
Well, yeah, Duke is always number one. Everybody is number one.
Duke. I don't hate Duke. I actually like Duke. I've spoken at their business school. It's a beautiful campus.
There's not much to hate about Duke, though.
Dude, Cameron Indoor is so awesome. Yeah. It's like literally the size of my living room. It's so tiny. It's like a high school. It's like a small high school gym. It's not even like a good high school gym. It's like a small high school gym.
I would love to go to a game there.
Coach K's office is bigger than the Cameron Indoor Arena. It's like across, like it's right in front. His office is pretty gangster. Overlooks. It's nice.
I wonder if he got to keep his office.
I'm sure he'll always have a home there. If I had to guess. What do you say we hit the markets there, Spencer?
It's a still a bull market?
I think we're like 18, 20 months in.
Okay, just checking.
Listen, have we seen any evidence at all in the last 18 months that it's not a bull market? 20 months, you could say.
There have been periods where that has been come into question, right?
Not by us, obviously.
What?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
We had corrections in the fall of last year, and we had some stocks correct this year, and in the first half of last year, not everything was working. In the back half of 22, not everything was working, but it's been a bull market all along. Has it not? What can you name, Strazza? This is a good question for Strazza. Can you name one piece of evidence that we've seen in the last 20 months that would suggest this is not a bull market? One piece of evidence.
No, you made a list of evidence, and then I made a list of how They weren't working anymore. We had a checklist going.
This was 22.
No, this was a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like a month ago, man.
Oh yeah, but the XLI never broke down. The homies never broke down. Semis never broke down. Financials never broke down. Those things would have had to happen to put this bull market into question. No.
My faith in this bull market has not faltered, really, at all. There was a moment in October of last year where things were looking grim.
I didn't think they were, though.
So
I mean, grim. I think grim is stretching it. Grim is
the Bears were building a list of evidence at that moment that was becoming concerning, and we turned it around and we momentum thrusted in like a matter.
We kept seeing sector rotation, right? We kept seeing sector rotation.
Things dried up into October. They did. And listen, it's okay. Hey, it's still a bull market. Everybody's happy. Bull market parties. Who's going to Miami?
No question. There's so many bull market parties that I can't go to all of them. I mean, I missed two this week. 2 bull market parties this week. I just can't be at all of them. It's just, this wasn't happening a couple of years ago, Mr. Strazza.
If there's a bull market party in Miami next month, let us know.
There is. I actually made a couple phone calls about it yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick little morning rundown. Dow futures pretty much flat this morning. S&P futures pretty much flat, down 8 points. NASDAQ futures leading the way lower, down 1/3%. Bond futures up 0.75% this morning. That's a big move, I think. Gold up 40 basis points. Silver down 0.5%. Copper down a little bit over 1%. Crude oil up 1/3%. So kind of mixed across the board. Dollar mixed this morning as well. Euro down, yen up, and big day yesterday. Big reversal in the dollar yesterday. Volatility index hanging above 13. U.S. 10-year yield hanging out above 4.2%. Over in the old funny money, Bitcoin down 1,100 points, 64,000. Ethereum down 80 points, 34,000. And Solana hanging out right around 173, down 3% on the day. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, $2.38 trillion in market capitalization. What are your thoughts on the meme coin? We're gonna get into. We'll talk about crypto. It is Crypto Friday. Any thoughts on the explosion of these meme coins? The Jason coin, 29,000%, like in 45 minutes. You had you got the Bohm, you got the Pepe.
Yeah, it just seems like it's happening faster this time around. What is the crazy money is just being made faster, right? Like Dogecoin in 2021, it took a couple of months, didn't it, for that thing to really blast off? I thought. I could be misremembering, but you didn't see these, or maybe you did. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But did you see these same day pump and dumps with this frequency?
Towards the end, yeah. It was.
Listen, you're always going to see intraday pump and dumps, but none of those have any real market cap.
I think maybe
Dogecoin's $25 billion in market cap.
I think, like Spencer's saying, maybe it's earlier in the cycle for some of this, but some of these guys, like I was saying to you guys earlier this week, are just getting started, are like just coming back to the ICO market.
Yeah.
And
I'm not getting any normie friends asking me about crypto
Zero,
at all.
none, nothing.
In fact, I bring it up to my normie friends just because I want to get some intel, because they talk to a lot of normies, right? And nothing. They all, what they all say? They're like, JC, the only reason I know that this stuff is going on is because of you. That's what they tell me.
Yeah, my friends are degenerates, so I'm trying not to overthink my data because all we talk about on the golf course is Hard Rock Bets and Coinbase.
Hard Rock Bets?
That's the Florida sports betting app. We no DraftKings for us, Florida men.
I'm kind of interested. It's interesting with Bitcoin at all-time highs, not a single question. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I really don't understand it.
Because 73,000 is not a round number.
Over. That still exists? What?
73,000 is not a round number. 74,000. 75 is a round.
So you think when Bitcoin goes to 100,000?
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
You think so?
Guys, I think this
40-50% away.
Let's have the meme coin conversation. I think this is good. What is it JC? A meme
What
coin.
is what?
Well,
Meme coin?
we hear the word or the phrase. What the hell does it actually mean?
Yeah. I mean, listen, one can argue that the world is built upon memes and humans telling each other stories, and the memification of these stories is this generation's way to
And a
communicate.
meme is a
And
story?
you know, a meme is a story, right? Exactly. A story that's turned into culture and community. Like, religion is a meme. Is one of the biggest memes of all time, right? And it brings communities together. There are all kinds of stories. I remember I took a religion. I mean, I went to Catholic school from the age of 4 to 22, so I took a lot of religion classes. But I remember being a little kid, and this one book was Bible stories. That was literally the name of the book. It was all stories. So you know it's harder for older generations, boomers, if you will, to sort of understand a culture that grew up on gaming, that grew up on memes. It's very difficult for somebody who didn't grow up in that and wasn't surrounded by that to understand the value in a culture, in a community, being driven by a meme. It's next to impossible. But for younger generations that don't know any better, this is literally how they grew up. There's so much value in these, right? You can argue Bitcoin is the greatest meme in the world right now, because you can't argue with the dollars. It's worth the most, right? I think it was Meltem Demirors. She said, we meme this into existence, right? Like, it's worth $1 trillion because we decided that this was going to be a thing.
How about this?
We all decided together, and that's
Bitcoin,
what this is.
not technically a meme coin. Shouldn't be considered.
It's not a meme coin, but it is the ultimate meme.
It's the OG. It's the OG meme coin. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's the OG meme coin. Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
Isn't the US dollar meme paper then? Really? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Into existence too?
No, because these are centralized networks, right? They're not decentralized communities like the meme coins. It's very different.
Memes have been memes are the language of the internet, and
Yes.
meme coins are probably, it was always the logical endpoint of like the meme economy, right? What is a meme? It is a joke on the internet, and you're either in on the joke or you're not in on the joke.
That's
right? But memes are just that. They're just jokes. But take it to the blockchain, the language of the internet with the currency of the internet, you put it together, you get the meme economy, where memes are no longer just jokes, they're a way to make money, and that's where we are.
And I'm glad we're bringing this up. I mean, it is Crypto Friday, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about the most popular meme this year. Throw up Pepe. This is slide 2. This is a $3.5 billion market capitalization. This isn't like a penny stock. If this was a stock, it would be a mid cap.
Yeah.
Right. Like let's remember what this is. And Spencer, you're the youngest of the three of us, right? How old are you, Spencer?
I'm like in my 50s, really, like on the inside.
How old are you?
But
how old are you?
No, I'm 32. How old am I?
You're 30. You're 32. So you're 10 years younger than me. So that puts you were born in 1992, if my math.
91. Yeah.
So you grew up in more of a gaming and memeing culture than I did. When Pepe was invented, you were 12. Like I was already in college, so I was already too old for this. So can you speak to your Pepe experiences?
Like my Pepe the Frog experiences? I don't have Pepe the Frog experiences.
Right. What is Pepe? It's a deflationary meme coin that
that corner of the internet.
He's literally reading the definition.
You guys done? Deflationary meme coin that operates on the Ethereum blockchain. It was developed as a tribute to Pepe the Frog internet meme, which gained traction and popularity in the early 2000s. The project aims to leverage the popularity of meme coins and position itself as a notable meme-based digital asset. This is the key part. Pepe distinguishes itself by instituting a no-tax policy and being transparent about its lack of utility, keeping things simple as a meme coin.
Yo, I gotta bring Louis on. He's pissing himself. He says, with this
what's really interesting is that you're getting a lot of new projects where the founders are not taking a piece. they're not taking a piece of each of the transactions. Like they're literally trying to do good. Whether it is or whether it isn't, there's an attempt to actually do something good, which is really fascinating. That wasn't the case before.
The Coinbase. They're Coinbasing. Just doing the right thing when they don't have to.
Is it really? Is that a term?
I think it all comes back to humans.
Doesn't
And,
matter.
you know, there's been a lot of studies talking about evil and whether humans could be born with evil or if that has to be taught. And all of the studies continue to suggest that humans are naturally good. The evil is nurture, not nature. So people are trying to do good things.
I'm bringing Louis. I'm sure he has thoughts on this.
I'm not done.
Got my fingers on the pulse, avocado and toast, leather seats, jet plane, always ready to go.
I'm just in the backstage, just wetting myself with your questions.
Which question?
Spencer, what is your experience with Pepe the Frog? Like,
yeah, I feel like Louis, you're too young.
are you kidding me? I'm like
Spencer's
the perfect age to have experienced, you know, all the intricacies of the Pepe culture.
Okay, please share.
I mean, it's just like an edgy meme sort of community. It's
4chan, man. I stay away from that.
I would recommend anybody watching this stay away from that. It's just like an edgy sort of meme culture. It was just the way that you were phrasing the question. I was just wetting myself in the backstage.
No,
why? How would you have phrased it? I thought they were.
What's your experience with Pepe the Frog? It's just, oh my god.
No, it's funny because it's stupid, but we're talking about it because people are making money trading these things. And like you were saying,
why don't by the way, a lot of $3.5 billion.
This is not. We're not talking about $300 million crypto.
Throw up the book of meme, Spencer.
I want to get to JC explaining what you're hearing, why you keep asking me about these. I know you're involved. You're getting some action.
Hey, JC, you're such a junk. Okay, I'm the youngest. Like, I'm the youngest on this stage right here, but I feel like I'm the most conservative out of everybody here. Like, all of you guys are just talking about all these random meme coins, and I'm just like talking about Bitcoin.
Which is also probably not.
If you saw, if this was an IPO and this was an Israeli software stock, you would have already bought
so
it.
Involved. No, I don't buy IPOs.
I know.
Hold on, stop. And you should have should move a little bit further out on the risk spectrum. Live a little, young guy. No, not
Me?
you. You're fine. But why are you making this face when we talk about the book of meme and Bonk and Pepe? Like, what's the idea here? Because we buy stocks all the time. The freshly squeezed list is full of them that we don't think are long-term viable names, right? And we make money on them. So there's nothing wrong with this. If that's the situation, fine. I think you got 3,000 coins. You really got it.
I was on the phone. I was on the phone with Brian Lund. By the way, he's coming to Sonoma, so that's exciting. I was on the phone with Brian Lund yesterday, and he's like, "But JC, this is great. What if it turns into the next Luna?" I'm like, "I hope it does. That would be fantastic." What was the market cap of Luna? Like
top 5
a lot.
One point. Top 10 at least.
It was a lot. So I was like, I hope it is. I'm like, whatever happens after that is not my
I saw
problem.
this meme on Twitter today, and it's like of the bus, like the two people sitting on the bus, like one person's sad, one person's depressed, and it's like, what a scam, and one person's really happy at that, and the other's just completely sad. Like, great, if this is all a scam, we can make so much more money off this.
Yeah, I hope it is a scam. I mean, right? Like,
I'm not sure if you guys, I only just joined now, but I'm not sure if you're just talking about the recent Solana meme coins that have just come, quite the offensive language sort of meme coins that I won't mention on this show.
One whole already mentioned them in the chat.
Dude, these are like $300,000, $400,000 market caps. I don't mess with that. But when we have an algorithm this cycle that we didn't have before that alerts us when certain cryptocurrencies are climbing up the leaderboard. The book of meme is 117th largest cryptocurrency. Last I checked, might even be higher now. It's almost in the top 100. So these aren't like little nothings. This is almost $1 billion in market cap.
There have to be like anchor investors when these things ICO. Who's owning most of this shit?
Yes. So this is why I'm glad that Louis here. Louis, can you talk a little bit about the Pepe coin and the buyers that were stepping in with very successful track records going in and buying Pepe? By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, still own Pepe.
Yeah, and so
Right? They haven't dumped it.
Who
like
so what
Florida
JC is talking about is the fact that we can track what the wallets on chain with the best track record would do. And one of these wallets, or I should say a fund, that was actually buying a lot of Pepe before it pumped was Wintermute Trading. Wintermute Trading is a market making company, as well as a venture fund. They manage in the range of like $500 million of their
What's their
on-chain
name?
wallet.
What's their name?
Wintermute Trading.
And by the way, we know that because they disclosed that, number one. Number two, they don't have to disclose that. And even if we didn't know who they were or what they do, we still
No,
have their
JC,
track
they
record.
don't actually
So,
disclose it. Like they have no choice. Like we can see what they're doing. They don't have a choice to disclose it.
No, I know, but they're disclosing that that's their wallet.
Yes, no, but they don't even need to disclose that because
Like, let's say I had $1 billion. I don't. Let's say I had $1 billion and I have a big wallet, but I don't disclose that it's my wallet. I don't have to disclose that it's my
no,
wallet.
but
I have
people
a
can get a
public.
very good idea that it is going to be your wallet if there's that size. Because they can literally see all these transactions going in between these wallets. I don't know how they do it. These
My point is, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
it
The
doesn't
track
matter.
record
What
is
matters is that this big venture fund, they were buying a lot of this Pepe token. And so, we might joke around, it's a meme coin. Does it have any value? It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're having all these funds that are quite literally buying these meme tokens. And so you can just ride along with them. It doesn't matter if it goes to zero. We don't care. All we care about is just making money along the way.
This is a very selfish endeavor. I to the point where I hope it is a scam because these scams can make so much money, right? Like, I don't care. It's not my problem. We're just trying to make money in the meantime. Right? What about this? This is sorry, had to. Come on. Can we talk about slide 4 here? So this is going up the quality scale in terms of cryptocurrencies. This one's sitting around $4 billion in market cap, larger than
Not
the
a
Pepe
meme
token.
coin. Not a meme coin.
Not a meme coin. This is, you know what this is, Lou Dog, right? What is this? It's an exchange, right? Isn't it some kind of exchange?
It's an uptrend. That's what it is.
So all I want to say is Leonardo Fibonacci wrote about his sequence 1,000 years ago. Pingala wrote about the same sequence that he discovered a completely different way. It was like kind of like using sentences. It was just different. It was the way people spoke back then. But he came to the same conclusion as Leonardo did with the rabbits in the caves. And this was over 2,000 years ago. Now here we are with a $4 billion market cap cryptocurrency that is going step for step with these Fibonacci extension levels. Thousands of years later. Anybody find this fascinating?
I mean, we don't just draw these random lines in our chart for nothing, right?
I know, but isn't that fascinating?
What I think is interesting is that obviously this it seems to work, right? But also that this is also like the logical endpoint of technical analysis, right? Because there is nothing else. Even if you wanted to, there's nothing else. There's no other way to trade this thing. There's no
the crypto community would argue otherwise. They put a valuation on the culture.
All right. I mean, if you want to talk about functionality and all that, sure, I guess. But like
not for me. Like, I don't care. Just like I don't care about the fundamentals of a stock either.
I suppose. But like, this is a match made in heaven. Meme coins and technical analysis is like a match made in heaven, because I mean, unless you're like neck deep in the community and you're involved in like the genesis of a coin and all that stuff, and but for the rest of us, we're not.
Well, I got one more chart, and then I want to hear what Louis has to say. This one, kind of just taking a step back, right? We started with the book of memes and the Pepe and the Tau. Let's go up the cap scale to some of the biggest. Number one, I'm really surprised that Binance never disappeared. It was looking bleak there.
Likewise.
Under 200. I remember saying how I wanted to buy Binance, and you guys were abusing me, both you and Strazza, abusing me about how crazy I am and what I'm thinking. And I just remember being like, the risk reward is just so clean. If this doesn't go to zero, it's going to triple. Well, here we are. You get your triple in Binance. I'm seeing huge bases. I don't necessarily know. I don't even think that Bitcoin's going to break out, this week or next week. I mean, could take months, could take quarters, could take years. I have no idea. I think a breakout to new all-time highs is one that you buy. See, Dawson knows. Dawson remembers, right? I got abused for putting out such an idea. Nevertheless, I see two monster bases in two very important markets. You have the largest cryptocurrency exchange. How much bigger is Binance than Coinbase?
Binance is about 90 billion, right? Coinbase, what's the market cap of Coinbase?
50, something like that. So almost twice as big.
Can you really
Binance. So
compare
you've
the
got,
two because one's a crypto token and the other's an equity? Can you really make that comparison?
maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is it's almost $100 billion. It's almost $100 billion in market capitalization, right? That's all that matters. And Bitcoin is $1 trillion, right? So these are not meme coins. These are not, Jason coin. These are not any of those things. This is real. And they've been around for a long time, right? So it's not like they just came up yesterday. I see big bases. I see very little reason to not buy breakouts in these bases if and when they come. Am I crazy?
If and when they come, exactly. And so Bitcoin is still tackling with that overhead supply. I'm looking at 68,000, 69,000. We draw levels of crayons, not pencils. It's that sort of zone around the former all-time highs achieved back in 2021. Bitcoin is still tackling with that. So I think it's really just a little bit messy for me at the moment, just because prices are still flirting with that overhead supply.
Short term, it's messy. Intermediate term, you can argue it's messy. Structurally, longer term, is there anything more
No.
bullish?
And so if you do get that weakness, I'm looking at about 52,000. That's a 38.2 Fibonacci retracement of this entire run off the FTX blow up lows. If you do get any meaningful weakness, because the structural trend is higher, I believe that you buy that weakness.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the internals. You want to run that bumper and talk internals?
Sure thing.
I run a bumper, yeah.
All right, Lou Dog. I'm very interested in the Bitcoin miners relative to Bitcoin. I'm also interested in the market breadth. So let's hear it.
I'm really interested in this as well. We all know that Bitcoin miners have really underperformed in this environment. You can put any sort of narrative spin on it, where it's a halvening. Market's obviously been pricing that in for a long, long time now. But the simple fact of the matter is that Bitcoin miners have really underperformed, and you can see that by looking at something like Riot or Marathon. These things have gone sideways while Bitcoin is trading at all-time highs. And so there's been a lot of relative weakness there. But, and now this is a big but, the ratio between Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin itself has just failed to hold this breakdown. And so from this pattern, we often say from failed moves come fast moves in the opposite direction. And so if this chart is anything to go by, and if that technical signal is anything to go by, it could potentially suggest that Bitcoin miners could be the place to be for Bitcoin exposure rather than Bitcoin itself, which is actually a really interesting realization because Bitcoin is trading at all-time highs. And so if you do get that rotation, I think that there's a strong catch-up trade to be made here.
How do you define Bitcoin miners?
Yeah, great question. So this is the Bitcoin miners ETF. I think it's the Valkyrie owned or managed ETF. So the ticker symbol is WGMI. There are some non-Bitcoin miners in there, like Taiwan Semi, AMD, Samsung. But I believe
hold
that
on.
they
Let me
represent a small
go.
percentage of the index.
So hold on, take a step back. So this is the Valkyrie Bitcoin Miners ETF, WGMI. We're gonna make it, if you will. Speaking of culture and memes. So Clean Spark, CLSK is the largest component, 22%. Marathon, 17%. Iris Energy, IREN, 9%. Riot is 8%. NVIDIA is 7.5%. You got Bitfarms just under 5%. Hive at 4%. Bit Digital at 3%. That's what you're looking at there for the WGMI. Couple of things on that. Number one, we really use these ETFs, to find opportunities. Like something like this particular ETF, WGMI, only has less than $100 million in assets. So it's nothing. It's tiny. All the meme coins we're talking about are actually bigger than this. So it's really a great way to find opportunities with it. Kind of like some of these ARK funds, like if you want to invest in genomics, let's just say, you can go to the ARK G fund and look at the holdings, and then you could start your homework from there, right? Like there's already a layer of work that's already been done for you, and then you can go and do whatever it is that you do, your fundamentals, your technical analysis, the stars and the moons, whatever it is that you do. But these ETFs are really good for that. Also, stuff like this in comparing, the Bitcoin miners relative to Bitcoin, the coin itself here. It's a great chart, Louis. Great
Thank you.
chart.
It's interesting that you bring up CleanSpark. We discussed that at length with our crypto members today. That's the biggest holding in the ETF, and there's a lot of relative strength there.
It's surprising that it is, right? What about let's talk about internals. Let's talk about the percentage of coins above their moving averages. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, so if you want to pull up this visual here, Spencer, we've got the percentage of coins above the moving averages. So if you guys aren't getting our free our daily crypto email, I don't know what you're doing. There's a lot of great information in there, and this is one of the visuals that we share every day in that daily note. And it's just simply looking at the percentage of our hand-picked cryptocurrency universe that are trading above their moving averages, both their 20-day moving average, their 50-day moving average, and their 200-day moving average. And so you can see here, only 22% of our cryptocurrency universe is trading above their 20-day moving average, which is obviously a reflection of the recent weakness that we've seen. But on the other end of the spectrum, a whopping 93% trade above their 200-day moving average. And so it's just a clear example that in the short term, things are incredibly messy, which makes sense because Bitcoin is trading at this, the former 2021 highs. But longer term, as I was saying before, the structural trends are still heavily intact.
I go to the chart.
Yeah, sure thing. And so this is what the data looks like on a rolling basis. So while that visual before is where it stands at the moment, this is how this data has changed over the last year, 18 months. And so you can see there, the percentage of coins trading above the 200-day has been, firmly above, we'll say 60-70%, since November of last year. And so the structural trend in all crypto assets, not just Bitcoin, has obviously been higher. But recently, you've obviously seen that big decline in the percentage of coins trading above their 20-day average. So shorter term trends are a little bit messy at the moment.
Joel Sproul, can you make a custom Bitcoin miner ETF? We've done that. I think WGMI does a nice job, at least for informational purposes. So breadth is good. Throw up chart 1. I have not had the opportunity to read the crypto note this morning yet. Talk to me about Clear Spark or Clean Spark or whatever Spark this is, CLSK. What a chart.
Nice chart. So, when you compare this to something like Marathon or Riot, it's really night and day in terms of the relative strength.
Yep. Marathon came out with updated guidance the other day. See that? ClearSpark, this rally started on its last earnings release, though. Whatever happened in their last report, the market really liked.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's the largest in the ETF. Only 4 billion in market cap. Era 6 almost.
Yeah, big buzz around this one. Everybody's talking about it right now.
Right at 3. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for Bitcoin to consolidate below overhead supply. Binance, Ethereum, you can make similar arguments as well, kind of consolidating below overhead supply. Opportunities on an individual base underneath
Absolutely.
the surface.
So even though the tape's a little bit messy at the moment, you can still focus on those A+ setups. There's still a lot of them out there. You just need to look harder. And one question that I want to ask you really quickly, while we're in this Crypto Friday segment, I'm wearing my FTX hoodie at the moment. And the reason I'm wearing this is because this week Bitcoin actually had its worst day, going back to when FTX blew up in 2022, and then literally the following day, Bitcoin had its second best day in that same period. And so there's a lot of volatility in both directions at the moment. And so volatility in both directions like that generally tends to be something that you see at market tops. Now, I don't want to overthink this, but what do you think about that?
I agree wholeheartedly. And this is obviously a market top. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the top, but I think all of us can agree based on not just the action that you just described, but the fact that we hit our targets, have been consolidating at these levels. Like, of course it's a top. Doesn't mean it's the top, but it's definitely a top. And a top can last a long time, maybe a short time. We'll see. My argument is that, it is likely to take less amount of time for demand to absorb this overhead supply, because this time around there are more vehicles in which demand can express itself and absorb that overhead supply that simply wasn't in place last time. So I would argue that that's part of the equation. The halvening doesn't hurt. I don't know that it makes a material difference in the supply, because 93% of all the Bitcoin's already been mined. So I don't know that the halving is going to have a huge impact, but it's not going to hurt, right? It's not a bad thing for price that now the miners are going to be selling literally half the amount by definition. Again, I don't think it's that material. I think the demand side of the equation is that much more powerful. So, my guess is that it's not going to take as long as it's taken in the past. I'm not going anywhere. I got all day. I'm going to be here for years and years and years. So, however, listen, we've been waiting for this gold breakout for over a decade. So, I mean, Bitcoin, I don't think it's going to take that long. Good. I'm okay with that.
Exactly. I've got no rush. I'm gonna be here for a while. So bring it on.
You're a young lad.
Exactly.
You're a young lad, Lou Dog. Tell Strazza to stop being so scared to move money into his DeFi wallets.
Well, there's no contact
doesn't.
number that you can give a call to if you just accidentally just mess up one digit on the address.
That's scary.
Strazza won't buy Pepe because he can't buy it on Coinbase. That's what an old man he is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think there is. If you want to buy something and you won't because you don't want to move coins into your
See,
wallet.
the beauty of living in New Zealand is that there is no restrictions like this, and so I can just do whatever I want. It's great.
Well, we don't have
I
restrictions
told
either.
JC, I said
it's Coinbase that doesn't have.
What is it?
coins.
Radium? What'd you call it? Radium?
The DeFi exchange.
The moment I do this thing on Radium to go buy something called Pepe Coin or the Book of Meme, that's the top. And remind me when it happens. I will be completely blind to it. But let's all sell everything when that happens. I don't have the need.
You understand it's the 20th largest token in the world, right?
It's fine. If I felt like, oh man, I'm missing out, there's some beta over here that I just got to get my hands on. I have a universe of a lot of cryptos that move.
It's just that when we buy stocks, Strazza, there's plenty of stocks in the New York Stock Exchange, right? But you go to the NASDAQ when there's opportunity there, do you not?
My Coinbase account.
There's plenty of opportunities in America, but you're buying C Limited, which is in Singapore, I'm pretty sure.
I'm doing okay with the way I'm currently doing
Nobody
it.
says you're not.
I'm not going to mess.
I just don't know what the difference is.
It's been going well. That's all I'll say.
Nobody says it's not going well. I just don't understand. If you want to buy a token and it's not being transacted on your preferred centralized exchange, then you're just not going to buy it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll give you.
Nobody said there's anything wrong. I just find the whole thought process.
Do you buy?
It doesn't make any sense.
Do you buy an egg salad sandwich at the gas station? It could be delicious. You don't know. It could be delicious.
Tell them, Spencer. It could be moldy too.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's a terrible analogy.
That's a terrible analogy. That's disgusting.
No,
all right.
Spencer.
Bigger
I
point.
tried.
There's a bigger point. except for maybe some leftover tiny positions in like Doge and just Doge. I don't own any meme coins. I don't really want to.
I love how he throws that out there. Other than some positions
I
in
got
the
some
Doge,
leftover
I don't know.
That's just some leftovers from the last cycle. So
Dude, that is such a blue chip meme coin. Like the fact that like you're even considering that
You
as
can't
part
even
of
really
the equation
consider
is
a part of the
interesting.
meme coin now. It's like that's just like a stable.
It's already graduated into like a
Yeah.
quality token.
But am I wrong?
$25 billion.
Like we're taking enough risk in these tokens. Is it a bad strategy to just say no to the meme coins? It all seems very crazy.
It doesn't have to be a meme coin. It's any token that's not on a centralized exchange. There's
Most
nothing
of
to
the
do with
coins
memes.
that I want to buy, I can buy. It's very rare where it does happen, but it's rare.
Of course it happens. It happens all the time. It happens every day to me.
Strazza, the question that I have for you is, what experience do you have with Pepe the Frog?
I have no.
All right.
On that note,
guys, if you haven't seen Louis' research, check it out. The link is in the description. It's at the very top. Also, I trust crypto. He's been crushing it. Louis, thanks a lot, man.
Cheers, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Great. I know we're gonna bring in that was fantastic. I know we're gonna bring in some options conversations here. And I just wanted to address a couple of things on the chat. I love that you guys are loving the crypto conversation. It is Crypto Friday. I think Brian was talking about how how JC started this show about obviously this is a bull market. Brian, if you're not getting our research, you should sign up. Ping Spencer and he'll send it to you. This has been a bull market all along. No one's argued otherwise. Any corrections or stocks that we've shorted, some have worked, some have not, all fall within the context of a bull market. We actually laid out a huge checklist of what it would take to put that thesis into question. Nothing was ever checked off, ever. Not once. Not even a little bit. I think ultimately it will, but we haven't seen it yet. So this is still a bull market. Nothing's changed this year. It's a different type of bull market. I think we're certainly in a different phase this year than we were last year. You know, you got Apple literally completely falling apart. Lululemon down double digits this morning. Like there are shorts that are working. Energy stocks are leading. Material stocks are leading. That wasn't happening last year. So just because we're in a different phase of the bull market, just because it's much different this year than it was last year, doesn't mean that it's not a bull market.
All right. I'm bringing Christian Tharp on.
Yeah.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Oh, Christian Tharp. It's been too long, my friend.
Yes, it has. How you been?
Just slinging meme coins, baby. You know, it's Crypto Friday around here. I don't know how
Well,
you
I tell you, and that, I don't think the other times I was on the call that we really talked about Bitcoin or crypto. This was the time that I actually had a Bitcoin chart ready to go. So I'm not sure if I'm jumping into upstream or downstream here, but I guess we'll find out.
No, listen, it's Crypto Friday around here. It has been for many, many years now. Crypto Fridays, it's great. It gives us an opportunity to discuss certain things that maybe we wouldn't talk about throughout the week. And we did that, and it was fun, and the audience loved it. Thank you, guys. Now let's take things back to what the kids these days call TradFi, right? Christian Tharp, very classic technician from what I can tell. Likes to take things to another level with the options market. Why don't you I know some of the audience members are familiar with your work and what you've done over the years, but why don't you tell the new folks who you are and why we're big fans
Yeah, you
of
bet.
yours.
I think you started out perfectly, very much just a classic chart person. As a matter of fact, that's what led me to start following you and others like you, the ones that mostly kind of keep it simple, like just what does the chart tell you? I try to encourage that first, right? The whole price is king idea, right? The other stuff, great. So, if I had a segment, I guess you would call it lines and stuff, or lines and shapes. And so,
Lines
to
and
me,
stuff. I like that.
sometimes the Occam's razor, right? The simplest might be the most, so what? I became a CMT. I think you were a CMT before me. I became a CMT in 2009, I believe. And started coaching actually before that in 2007. So been around the road and around the block. And the longer I've been doing it, the simpler I keep it. I leave the complexities and the more intricate to others. But I do like to, what I like to do is when it comes to things like sentiment or breadth or the VIX or anything like that, I defer to other experts in those fields. So if I find somebody that I find interesting, on X or whatever, it's like, oh, this guy's really good with really telling me, but I let them do that. It's kind of like being a general contractor, right? I let the subs specialize in electric and the plumbing and things like that, the ones that really know their way. And so I stay in my lane, which is, again, funny shapes, funny lines, triangles, double bottoms, double tops, flags.
I certainly appreciate all of those things. You brought a few charts with you. I like the mix that you brought here. I love that you're starting with bonds. I don't know if you did that on purpose or if that was Spencer's doing.
No, that was me. Their order is random.
Every time I've been on here,
got it. I was gonna say.
Every time I've been on here, you and I've talked about bonds, and I felt like I had to. I felt like I didn't want to hurt your feelings by not talking about the TLT. So, but yeah, so
there's plenty of bond proxies to talk about, but the TLT is certainly a good one on the long end
Yeah.
of the curve. So let's see.
Yeah,
what you
that's
got.
the one
What
I
are you
always bring
thinking
up.
here?
So if you recall, I believe both the other times that I came on the show here, I had talked about that 92 level on the TLT, and you can see back where it broke. I think you and I discussed that I was in a service where we put on a put play, a short play, and that's as simple as we kept it, right? So no different than when the TLT broke back above that 92, we bought some calls, right? And so interesting how that whole stocks have a memory, markets have a memory. Notice where we're holding up the past month, right? Right at that 92 again. And again, that 92 goes back even before my chart here. So I'm watching this 92 again to see what happens if it gets tested and or more importantly, broke. But then started to notice, do we have a bullish wedge forming here? Are we setting up for a monster move higher? Anyone that's been around me, I'm not a huge fundamentals, news, Fed, rates. I let the others do that. I always let the market tell me. If the TLT breaks above that little dotted white line up there, I'm probably going to look at buying some calls, right?
What are we looking at?
96? Yeah, right around the 96 area. If we break 92, I think I may have even seen you post something like this a long time ago, horizontal level greater than diagonal level, right? So if we take out that 92, I'm probably thinking more bearish than anything, but I would be watching and I'd be somewhat concerned about that bottom line and whether or not that holds us up. Somewhat similar to what we've seen in the markets, right? Where, the NASDAQ put in a nice flag like this or, wedge, whichever. Nice consolidation. Markets have been pretty good about playing these things out as we might expect.
The bigger picture trend here is down.
Yep.
Has been for 4 years or so. It would be really, really interesting if this consolidation resolves higher. I will say I have been impressed over the last couple of weeks as to how bonds have not broken down, rates have not broken out. I find that very, very interesting. Certainly one of the most interesting developments I've seen across the intermarket landscape.
I agree, especially with the commentary that I read and I just keep watching. And again, as you said, this is just one barometer somebody could be looking at. Again, I always kind of stay in my lane. I watch this, and the last 2 times we've traded it worked out pretty well by blocking that out and then just simply doing what the chart tells me to do.
Throw the Bitcoin chart up there. I'm hoping you're right on this one. We've got some buy orders down around 50,000 that I'd love to get. Whether we do or whether we don't, I don't have a say in the matter. But if you're right, we're gonna get filled in Bitcoin longs around 50,000, and I'm gonna be buying very, very aggressively. So I'm hoping that this top that you're pointing out here is correct. I think you could potentially be dead on.
I was pulling this up. Again, we've done pretty well with our Bitcoin, just following, again, basic price points. The taking out of 31, 32 to us was pretty clear. We're going to 45 and then probably 48. We get through those, probably going to new highs. The consolidation. And this is leaving out all the halving discussion and all that, just following what we see here. Got stuck in the consolidation. If we break out, maybe we should go long, voila. Well, now we're watching this take place. And I think most that are following Bitcoin know that Bitcoin is entering a period of time that historically has demonstrated some weakness. And when you look at this is why I put the question mark on a lot of these. What do we got here? Do we have a topping process? Do we have a head and shoulders?
Well, hold on.
Yep.
Christian, whether whether you have a question mark or not, the question mark is always implied. You don't. Christian doesn't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. JC doesn't know what's going to happen. Like whether you put I put a lot of question marks too, to be fair. But whether we do or whether we don't,
Right.
it's
I'm
implied,
leading the witness.
right?
So,
That's right.
so yes, and then as a matter of fact, you're obviously spot on. If that confirms, down to the 50K is where I'd be targeting.
Yeah, and I'd be a pretty aggressive buyer
I
down at
agree.
those levels. So I love this chart. I hope you're right. Selfishly, let's talk S&P. You know, these rising wedges. I got to tell you, you know, throughout my career, you know, these diagonal trend lines are tough. You know, it's tough
Yep.
living. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your experiences with these things? Why you brought these lines up?
Well, first off, I would say in this environment, you know, I obviously don't have to tell you this, but you know, when you're in a bullish environment, you're going to more commonly see bearish signals and conditions fail. When you're in a bearish environment, you're going to see those bullish conditions or signals fail. I would say virtually every single bearish condition or signal or level or whatever that we've watched specifically in the last couple of months hasn't meant a whole lot. So that's why I added that phrase. Even if this did matter, will the market care? Right? I mean, the market's just been doing its thing, but I do think it matters. For example, I don't think you can forget the pattern for a second, because I agree with you. I don't know that, you know, when I look at wedge formations like this, there's certain stocks that are very good with stuff like this, like Tesla. Tesla's over the last year or so has formed, I swear it feels like 100 rising wedges, bear flags, and every one of them has worked out perfectly. However, I do think it matters when you look at that resistance when we have 9 test points, exactly where we stalled yesterday. I think it's useful information. I think when you watch this and you say to yourself, well, was yesterday's gap up? Was that the ideal time to get long? Are one of these two lines going to break? And when it does, will it mean anything? You know, you take it for what it's worth. But I think when you see the market continually tell us, and as I was taught it, just remember, I'm not the one drawing these lines, right? The market is. I'm just adding the color. So the market decided every time, specifically on that top side, every time we get there, now for the 9th time, we pull back down again. Now, reason why I bring this up, same thing with the NDX, the 100 NASDAQ 100 channel.
Yeah, throw the next one up.
These are my simple answers to the questions that I get quite often here lately, because it has been a very persistent run. Right, we've seen the things. What was it? 13 out of 14 up weeks, 16 out of 18. I think it was 16 out of 18. Never happened in a bull run in history, which I thought was pretty interesting. Only happened once in a bear market rally. So when does this thing end? And I'm like, well, look, I am not going to sit here and try to tell you when this thing ends. And by ends, I only mean, as you said earlier, this leg. You know, I think we still got a long way to go bull market wise, but when does this leg end? Like, look, if you're looking for a framework, if you're looking for, you know, that, you know, opportunity to maybe take a shot and employ some good risk management, watch these two charts. When they break down, take your shot if that's what you're looking for. When I get asked, well, okay, great, what would lead you to, I just been answering with, it's one of those things, maybe we'll know it when we see it. I do believe in a lot of the things that you follow as well when you look at new highs and new lows. Have always been a huge fan of momentum divergences, but this market has just ignored that for like 3 or 4 months, you know? So these are just frameworks I give everyone. I wouldn't bet the farm, but I do think when you look at specifically the S&P, when I see any level or line that has 9 test points, I'm going to pay attention to it and respect it. And there's nothing you can say about rates, Fed, economy, inflation that's going to change, that the S&P stops at that line when it gets there for the last 4 months.
What do you think? I know you brought more, you know, macro perspective, more top-down perspective. You don't have to get into the charts themselves, but any particular names that have your interest? I mean, this Apple going down every day is an interesting one. Another 4% down yesterday. That short's been working very, very well. Lululemon down double digits, down 13%, I think. We almost got stopped out of that one, so that was nice and timely. For Lululemon to shit the bed this morning. So one for the good guys. Those are a couple of names on my radar. Anything for you?
Yeah, well, you know, when we parcel it out, you know, up until recently, I think breadth has improved a little bit here over the past couple weeks or even month or so. Prior to that, when we're seeing, again, when you keep it very basic and simple, stocks above their 50-day, stocks above their 200, we were seeing a lot of stocks that maybe weren't hitting new lows, but they also weren't going higher as well. And so when you get that kind of fractured market, it can be very challenging. We saw it at the end of the bull of 2021 going into 2022. We start to see this fracturing. Well, I'm right about the market, but I seem to be in the wrong stock. So what I like to do then is break it apart. Well, what's working and what's not? Right now, to me, what seems to be working, we've been focused. Caterpillar is something that we have been watching. Home Depot, Lowe's, these material industrial type space is where we've been finding some of the best performers, the better performers. Nibbling around the edges with healthcare, but then energy. We had a pretty good energy trade here a little while ago from the USO, just kind of a short swing trade on it, kind of like what oil was doing here recently. So we're finding pockets over there that, hey, if the market's up, these are going to be. And then, everything else just kind of, we're just watching for those important breakdowns and breakouts,
Christian, I love the things that you mentioned. We're seeing very similar things. What else, other than the materials and the energy rotation that we're seeing? Any other differences that you want to point out that you've seen this year versus last year?
It does seem to me that if ever the market was up, every tech name on the planet was having the greatest day in the world, right? That doesn't seem to be the case. And I've also noticed, okay, so we narrow it down to semis, we narrow it down to the AIs, right? We narrow it down to that little tranche. And you start to see some fracturing, right? We start to see AMD versus, you look over at NVIDIA, you look at SMCI versus you go over to Broadcom, and you look at these ones that have been really benefiting from this move, and you're starting to see this fracturing. And it does kind of remind me when I talk about that peeling away with my students, you start to see when you have a topping process or, a cooling off period, you do tend to commonly see, I refer to like the shuttle and the boosters coming off and then the next booster coming off, and slowly but surely are we going to see, where those kind of generals start to follow the soldiers the other way. So I've just kind of noticed that there's those differences. And most of the stocks that I have seen that have gotten beaten up have been around the tech area, not so much the others. So that is something I've noticed in this last little stretch, say, versus last year.
If that TLT breaks down, what happens?
I think you have to be looking at testing those lows and probably taking them out, the lows from just last year.
How do you think that's going to affect stocks?
I would, well, if you go back.
But what do you think? This is CNBC. I'm just going to throw you softball questions that nobody gives a fuck
no,
about.
no.
Come on, this is
real.
I
was dialing back because it reminded me of, and if I'm correct, I think you may have just proposed something about seasonality on X, where there were certain things I was expecting based on what the dollar did, seasonality and rates in February and March that didn't quite happen the way I might have thought. I kind of thought the market would. I kind of feel like the market's adhered pretty well to seasonality over the past, 1-2 years or so, even in the face of a bear than a bull. But then February and March, you start to kind of bucket a little bit. So you start to ask yourselves, is there any kind of different environment or decoupling of what I might have expected? So I might think that, typically markets, when you go into those, loosening and or tightening cycles, the market for the bigger moves tends to be the opposite, right? Like once the Fed starts lowering rates, that's generally when you're going to start to see, that bear market come, or so forth and so on. When you look historically, right, you rise rates into, and then you do. So I look at this environment, I'm kind of going, well, I'll let you guys sort this stuff out. I'm going to trade what I see, not what I think.
I'm gonna ask you one more question in terms of the execution, in terms of the types of strategies that you're implementing. Have you found yourself employing different types of option strategies this year versus last year? Number one. Number two, in a market where you're getting more bifurcation, like you said, in technology, are you incorporating different strategies even within
Absolutely.
the sector?
The great thing about what the SMCIs and the NVIDIAs, all these bigger names in particular have done is it's allowed us to really capitalize on playing both sides of the trade. It's great because when you're wrong, so to speak, you're really wrong the other way. So, some random put out there, pays. Our two biggest trades of the year by far, put on NVIDIA, I think it was just 2 weeks ago before I went on vacation. We had puts. We had the 850 puts going into that Friday. Pay, I think, or 900s. I'm sorry. I think it was the 900s. One or the other. I think it was the 900s, but That was our second biggest trade of the year. Our biggest trade, remember SMCI's implosion from like 3 or 4 weeks ago? That was more of like a for fun. We were having a profitable week, and the market opened. At that time, SMCI had popped up to its newest high. And I said, you know what? Let's buy some puts in case today's the day. And that ended up being the day of that big implosion. So
Can you, and then hold on, I do have another question for you. In that story that you're telling, you had P&L. So you took advantage of the fact that you had P&L from the week, and you took a flyer, and it worked out very well. How often do you find yourself doing that? Because I know I do that. I know a lot of great traders do that. When you have P&L and you can press, how often do you find yourself doing stuff
I
like
would borderline say always. Like when we've had a good week, like you went into the casino or whatever, you had a great run. As we're walking out the door, yeah, let's put a couple dollars on red, you know. But I always like to preface this with, we don't like to take guesses. We want to have reason to believe this could happen. And so if we see that, we say, ooh, wow, based on what I see here, there's every reason to believe there could be a $50 pullback in SMCI today. And by waiting till Fridays on obviously same day expirations, we're getting these things cheap. I think the one we did on SMCI, we only paid something like 75 cents for those puts. And I want to say we sold them for like 30 or something. And you want to remember at the end of the day, a lot of times traders can get really caught up in that trade not working. Whereas I tried to get them to extrapolate out. Look, we risked 1 to make 40. Okay. We could throw 10 of these trades out there. As long as we hit 1, we are crushing it. But also, if you're not comfortable, I know psyche and emotional, a lot of times getting wiped out or getting killed. But if we go into the Friday and things have gone well for us, and you know, and I always tell everybody what we're doing, so they can elect say, nope, I'm just gonna get in my car and go home. I say, let's throw 50 cents out here. Let's see if today's a reversal day, and that's generally what I'm doing. I'm going for some sort of reversal, but it's very selective. Again, generally it's on just the Friday. And we're taking a big name like a SMCI that can really fly around.
Love that. I love setting yourself up with a very well-defined risk scenario with exponentially greater reward, especially when you got P&L. What's wrong with that?
I would say it's the greatest indicator that there is. Let math work for you. You know, you got math in your corner, you're probably going to win.
Math is great, man. Math is underrated. Can we get a shout out for math? Shout out for math. Christian Tharp, you are the man. I really appreciate you being here. Hopefully you make it over to New York soon. We'll get together. We'll be in Chicago, by the way, in September. So
yeah, love to do that one. That's an easy drive.
Christian, are you in Chicago too?
I'm in Columbus, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Get there pretty easily.
Damn.
Last time he was in Chicago, I came up.
I need to get to Columbus.
Yeah,
I need to get to Columbus.
It's a good city.
Hey, for a football game.
Isn't Columbus like Test Market USA? Don't you get every test product for everything? Right?
For food in particular.
For food
in particular.
Yeah.
We are a big test market for a lot of stuff, but and we got some, we got White Castle's headquarters here. We got Wendy's. It's a big food place as far as testing too. So
nice.
I mean, White Castle, Wendy's. I mean, really high quality.
What more could you ask for? Honestly,
what more do you need? I mean, mix in a Chick-fil-A. Forgot about it.
Thanks a lot, Christian.
You bet, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Yeah, he's always great to talk to. He always makes sense too. I like his. I like what he says.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Simple, stupid. Right.
He's always such a keep it simple, stupid guy. I love that.
Can we talk about this Reddit IPO? Yeah. All right. I don't know. I don't think we have a chart. I don't know why we would. But it opened yesterday. This was like a very like typical. I don't know. The last time we saw like a typical tech IPO, right? But maybe I guess last year with ARM. But
isn't it not the way they went public is different, isn't it?
Who ARM? You talking about or Reddit? No. I'm talking about just in terms of like the action, like. They priced it at what, like 34. You get that nice IP, that pop off the open. You get some buying action, and even though I think it closed the day up like a couple dollars based on the opening tick, it still gets you see the articles that Reddit IPO stock popped 70% on day one because at one point it was compared to the IPO price and yada yada yada. But it was like a very typical run of the mill tech IPO day, right?
What was the offering price?
The offering price, I have it right here. The offering price was $34 and it opened at 47, and it promptly went to 57.
Below 45, so that's a success.
Right.
It ran to 57, and then it settled in around 50.
Listen, there's some big investors in this. Some big names behind this one. Oh, yeah.
I think it's very apropos that we spent the first 15, 20 minutes of the show talking about meme coins. Really, Reddit is in many ways the originator of the meme, right? It's where the memes were birthed. Maybe Reddit and 4chan, but yeah. So look, it's a big tech IPO. That makes it interesting. We haven't seen a social media. We haven't seen a social media IPO since like Pinterest. I think it was like 5 years ago.
Go to slide two, so you can see what that looks like.
So, I have thoughts on the business as a user. I think it's pretty terrible.
Let's hear it.
But
what do you mean?
They've never been profitable. I mean, their entire business model is dependent on their ability to monetize their data, which they're starting to do finally. Google, I think, just signed a big deal with them. But I think their top 5 or top 10 customers account for like an insane amount of their revenue. And they, it's unproven. The business model is unproven. They're starting to monetize, but this is not a new company. It's been around for like 15 years at least. More 20 years.
What scares me is this whole circular situation that's going on that's power. This is one of the data archives that's going to power the AI bots that answer questions.
Maybe. I don't know.
100%.
One of them.
That's how it all works, though. They're just getting information from one place and then organizing it and then disseminating it in another place for us.
Yeah.
Is that not what's going on? Where's AI getting their information from? Then
Google, I thought.
All kinds of places.
Also Reddit.
All right.
This is one of them. Strazza's right. This is one of them.
That's their business model. That's why they think they're going to become profitable.
Yeah.
That's why shareholders seem to think, right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I still use Reddit. I probably don't use it as much as I used to, but I'm still on it. Kind of like Twitter in that regard too. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I'm still there.
What do you use Reddit for, Spencer? Sports or
a little bit
culture?
of everything, honestly, like markets stuff. Although the discourse on Reddit for markets is, if it's possible, it's even stupider than the discourse on Twitter, but it is. But let's see, like hobbies of mine, like movies and sports, and if I want to like waste time for 5 minutes in line somewhere, I'm usually going to pop on Reddit. But it's mostly a time waster, but with pockets of productivity. Sometimes I'll learn stuff, but more often than not, I don't. So, but although when I'm talking about the sentiment that I'm seeing, that's usually from Reddit and not from Twitter, just because I do follow a lot of the financial subreddits. I'm on a lot of them.
What's all this about humanoids? What's a humanoid?
What is a humanoid?
Yeah.
It's like a human robot. Right?
That's confusing to me.
Stock market and Mike, I use Reddit to feed my confirmation bias. I use Reddit, honestly. Reddit makes me feel smarter, and that's actually why I like it. I see so much dumb stuff there that it makes me feel good about my intelligence. So.
It's that bad? I thought there were smart people talking on Reddit. I didn't.
Well, it's very like everyone is very narrow-minded in whatever subreddit you're in at any given time. So if you're talking, you could talk about, being a boglehead and index funds, and that's the only way to invest, or you can talk about shit coins and meme coins, and that's the only way to make money. And so
it's the land of extremes over there.
Definitely.
Twitter is
a lot. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So interesting. Bigger takeaway here is companies are going public again. Slowly but surely.
Slowly is right. This one took a long time. Let's do a couple. Yeah. Let's do just some earnings really quickly. We should probably mention Lulu and Nike. Lulu was down in the pre-market 13%. What is it down now? And now that we're open, not loading for me. Cool. 14%. Okay, yeah.
14%.
Lulu's down 14. Nike's down 7.
Yeah, that's terrible. JC, this is one of those situations where like they might as well report together that we talk about.
Lulu and Nike?
For sure.
And do they? They do.
I don't know. I don't know if that's not intentional.
Do Coke and Pepsi
No.
report together?
They both
report-
reported though, right, Spencer?
They both what?
Lulu and Nike.
Yeah, they both reported last night.
Got it.
Yeah, and Lulu's issue was light guidance. Nike's issue was I don't actually know what Nike's issue was.
Nike's not cool anymore, apparently.
Dude, we were.
Oh yeah, also it was
Lulu
also
wouldn't
light
have
guidance for
gapped
Nike.
down,
Yep.
If Google wouldn't have gapped down this morning, we would have been stopped. We would have been stopped out this morning. We would be unwinding this trade this morning had this not happened. So one for the good guys.
I feel like Lululemon, and I had to go back and look it up because I wasn't sure, but it was just a feeling that I had. It seems like the stock more often than not gaps down on earnings. I don't know why. It just seems like yeah, it just seems like obviously there's examples where that's not true, but in the last few years, it just seems like more often than not, it just gaps down. I can't explain it.
So in other news, is that all for earnings?
FedEx, come on, a huge economic indicator. How's FedEx doing? They're up.
A great move. That's back at the upper bounds of this range.
Can we talk about the strength in the transportation index over the last week or so? That's been very impressive. Finally, what the hell took them so long?
In our scans, this Old Dominion, I can't say enough good things. We had another trucker in one of our scans yesterday. I won't say which one, but they're popping up.
And the trucker came out of the Young Aristocrats as a Canadian, right?
Yes, yeah. Look at that chart. I mean, God, some of these are really good secular leaders. You've seen the Old Dominion zoomed out chart. It's not the only one that looks that way.
Is that the best looking transportation stock on the planet?
I just like Old Dominion because it's like slow and steady. But the one we wrote about yesterday, that's got some beta. Look at the way that.
You don't even have to go to a decentralized exchange and buy it. You could just buy it on the New York Stock Exchange. No big deal.
There's plenty of juice in traditional markets. And I want to talk about TradFi. Hopefully we get there. First, I think we have to talk about Apple. This was the big news yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk Apple. So another in a continuing series of lawsuits. I wrote DJO in the doc, but it's the DOJ is suing Apple on antitrust grounds.
Brought the case. Yeah.
Sorry, what?
16 states.
Yes.
Are you not able to hear us, Strazza?
Am I what?
The DOJ. So just to recap the landscape here, the DOJ is suing Google. They are suing Apple. The FTC is suing Amazon, and they're suing Meta. So basically, the two major U.S. Regulators are suing the four largest tech companies for antitrust.
And Apple seems to be the only one who's reacting to it.
Well, this is new, right? Right. The FTC lawsuits have been going on for a little while. The Google lawsuits have been going on for a little while. Obviously, they're not anywhere close to a resolution. DOJ is alleging that what Apple does is they make it harder for people to switch off of iPhone.
It's the App Store.
to Android, right?
Yeah, they do. And
and
then
that
Apple
they
argue that they are creating the best consumer experience this way, and that's why they're doing it. And they'll have a point in saying that, and they'll go back and forth over this. And then the real big risk is, does the US go to the EU model? That's the real risk for Apple, where the government could potentially force them to not be the only app store. And then that would really flow through to their earnings and their financials, because it would hit their services revenue in a real way. So they monopolize your phone in a way that any app that you download through the Apple App Store app, and they take a fee on every download, right? In the EU, that's not the case. You have another exchange or app store to go to download apps. It doesn't even seem like the government's trying to go that far at all. So I'm kind of surprised at the downside in the stock. This seems like another nothing burger. But from a larger zoom out perspective, we talk about how these stocks, they're not going to stop getting bigger. They're not going to stop dominating the positions that they already have. I think makes it very easy for them to keep dominating in the future. The real risk for these stocks right now is antitrust.
Throw up slide 13.
Also,
Spencer.
U.S. regulators don't have the best track record of winning cases that they bring against companies like this.
Is it?
I'm just gonna tell you that I don't know what the fuck any of you guys are talking about with the government, antitrust. I'm sure you guys are right and done your homework. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that this thing has sucked since last year. This thing sucks. So the fact that now bad news, quote unquote, bad news is coming out, like that shouldn't be surprising, right? The bigger question is, at what point do we sell our puts, right? At what point do we cover our shorts? That's what's more interesting to me, not the government. I mean, all this stuff is great. It's fantastic. I hope it goes to zero. But realistically, where are we going to be covering shorts? Where are we going to be selling puts? 150? Throw up the
I'll
actual
probably
chart
be a
again.
buyer of Apple pretty soon.
Around 150?
I mean, it's everything else is going one way and Apple's moving in the opposite direction. It's just
I totally agree. Like Apple is still Apple. If you're the kind of person that always wishes that, why didn't I buy when it was on the downswing? Why now it's gone too far? I don't want to chase it. This is your moment.
Yep, I agree, Spencer.
This is your moment.
So you think I sell all my puts right now?
No. I'm talking about for the long-term minded person.
I mean, I have till June.
Yeah, I mean, you're over here telling us it's a bull market and you think it's a bull market. Now you're talking about being long puts. So I'm very confused. I don't know why.
I've been long puts. The question is, when do we sell them? My target's been 150. That hasn't changed.
A hero trade, in my opinion, something that's really not for most people. The wind is not.
But why should I give a shit? Why should I personally give a shit what's good for most people or not? I'm talking about myself.
Most people every day.
That's not my problem, what other people are doing with their portfolio. I'm telling you what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. And you guys are sitting here telling me to be buying something that's falling every day. In particular, what Strazza would just said, in a bull market, when so many things are working, this is not. Why would you buy
150 seems awfully far away to me. I
mean, I guess it's been falling.
The bigger point is Apple's not the market. Apple's not that important to the broader market. The NASDAQ 100 made a new all-time high yesterday.
But hold on, but isn't that surprising? Because my whole life, basically, Apple has been important. Like, how many times are Apple and the NASDAQ 100 moving in opposite directions? You not many. So you're gonna actually buy this piece of shit?
I've been saying this though. I've been coming on here and saying this. Don't overthink Apple. And
just short it and call it a day.
If you're so inclined, have at it. Right? You found 1 week.
No, that's what I'm saying. But you guys are sitting here trying to catch a falling knife in a stock that's not working. Why would you do that?
There's an easy out here.
You can buy dips in this market.
What's the out?
Buy dips in this.
What's the out? Okay, let's say I buy Apple right now because I have a mental illness. Let's just say, right? Where am I wrong?
What's that low from like 2 weeks ago? What is that?
If it takes out the October
gotta go back. Yeah, let's go to October.
You got a little range here.
160. What's that? 165?
Yeah. And if it takes out the October lows, you
165, sure.
Yeah, I also think you could buy the hook back above 180, right? You don't have to go trying to.
Yes, now that I agree wholeheartedly with you. Yes,
don't be surprised
that I agree.
Be surprised if it
100%.
happens, right? If this one reverses hard to the upside, because look at what all of its friends are doing. Also, shout out Microsoft.
I know. Look at all its friends like Tesla and Google.
Google looks great. You're right. So Microsoft. Just masterful work that we're here talking about big tech antitrust, and they are completely unnamed, unmentioned, just unaffected by it. They've come a long way. Good for Microsoft.
What other companies, Strazza, are being affected by this antitrust?
Meta's got a thing.
I said Meta, Amazon, Google, Apple. Those big four.
Microsoft is just amazing. Really good. Bill Gates is really proud somewhere he's sitting.
They already went through this shit 25 years ago.
I was gonna say multiple times, I think, right?
Amazing history too. The Microsoft antitrust stuff in the late 90s. Really cool.
Yep.
Apple was very involved.
Can
we talk about Jobs business card? Speaking of Apple, things you don't see in a bear market.
By the way, Tesla is not
What do you
Apple's
got?
friend. Tesla is Apple's stupid neighbor, crazy neighbor. Okay, that's what Tesla is.
They get grouped in.
They sure are trading together.
Steve Jobs' business card apparently going to be sold or auctioned for close to $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Why?
he's Steve Jobs, dude.
Because it's a bull market, JC. That's what happens.
I mean,
So in a bull market, so this is like a collectible.
but
so it's
he's
a
like
meme.
Michael Jordan, right? Like his stuff has just always been worth money and will probably always be worth money. Like, can you really go wrong buying anything Steve Jobs related? Does this? How long has he been dead? God,
Like
It depends on when. Depends on when you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. His legacy, can it? I don't know.
All right, a couple more things. I want to bring on Alfonso too. Shake Shack named the new CEO. The CEO of he was in charge of Papa John's International. Now he's in charge of Shake Shack. Paramount dealing with this offer from Apollo. This takeover offer, $11 billion. They don't seem to like it. Paramount, doesn't seem to like it. Short report on Equinix was out the other day. Thought that was interesting. We talked about that stuff last week.
Who wrote it? Who did it?
It's Hindenburg, the guy that took down Nikola.
I know who they are. Yeah.
That's what I had. That's it.
All right. They released the short report just in time for a failed breakie. I like it.
Can you throw up slide 2, please, so you could tell me further about how Tesla and Apple don't trade together?
No one said they don't trade together.
Oh no, come on. I didn't mean it like that. I just mean that
spurious.
All I'm saying is they are you don't it might be, I don't disagree with Spencer that it's Apple's crazy next door neighbor.
Yeah.
What did you say? Yeah, okay, fine. But they're in the same neighborhood and they frequent the same country clubs and restaurants.
Will Elon Musk's business cards be worth more than Steve Jobs'
he doesn't have business cards.
No, seriously.
Ooh,
Well,
wow.
Okay, will his memorabilia or his collectible?
No, but I would say, to your point, Strazza, my answer would theoretically be yes, but Spencer's right that he doesn't have business cards.
His stuff, and he does have business cards. The same people who are auctioning Steve Jobs have auctioned his.
You think that Elon Musk has a business card? Like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Elon Musk. Yeah, no shit.
Half of the population hates this man. It's not the same for Steve Jobs. Who hates Steve Jobs? Nobody hates Steve Jobs. Nobody hates him. It's a great guy.
Well, when you've been dead for 13 years,
Did people hate him? I don't remember. I'm with Strazza. I don't remember people hating him.
He was hard to hate, even as an ass.
We were at a FinTwit happy hour over on 36th Street in Madison. I forgot the name of the bar. What was the name of that bar? What's the bar that's in Greenwich? That beer bar that's in Greenwich?
The Beer Exchange. I don't know.
No, Strazza.
Yeah.
That there's one on 36th Street in the city, and there's one in Greenwich. Interactive Brokers.
I know.
Down,
Ginger
upstairs
Man.
or something.
Ginger Man. Yeah.
Ginger Man. So anyway, we were at a FinTwit happy hour at Ginger Man the day Steve Jobs died. It was all like journalists and traders, and it was like
I was on Greenwich Avenue that day too. I was.
Sure you were.
I was.
Were you wearing khaki pants and a vest?
I was wearing a suit.
All right, I have not read this book yet. It's one of the many books on the bookshelf that have not yet to be read, but it's on there one day.
It's good. Walter Isaacson getting a lot of shit though for these biographies that he does.
Yeah. Hey, wait, Fonz, you want to come on? Are you ready? Let's bring Alfonso on for a couple minutes here, and then we'll do recess.
Can we talk about TradFi?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, we're going to take you to a little part of California that is nothing like downtown
Nice,
San Diego.
I love it. I'm excited about that.
Homeless people sleeping on the side of the road is not allowed.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yes, it is so great. It's so gross and dirty in downtown San Diego. It's like scummy. Don't think that California is all like that. It's just San Diego and a few other places, but definitely not Sonoma. Sonoma's beautiful. Homeless people are not allowed to sleep on the side of the road.
Nice. I love it.
Fonz, what's on your mind here?
On my mind, I mean, we have been pounding the table about some rotation taking place in the last few weeks. This tables, I think, shows that rotation, especially to materials, financials, and energy, of course. So what it got my attention this week is that the material sector is pressing against.
Hold on. Go back one more. Hold on. Go back one more. Look at the number of 52-week highs on the materials. And notice how none of the other ones are doing that. Strazza, when was the last time you could point to this and be like, there are so many more material stocks making new 52-week highs than the rest of the sector?
2021 probably. So this is
22,
early 22,
22.
But go to the next chart, right? This table is confirmation for the breakout here.
Yeah, right? Definitely. And it's not only large cap; it's mid cap and small caps. Similar behavior of when industrials broke out. It broke out like in all the groups, all the cap scale. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, that caught my attention. Also, financials and energy, like the best with internals in the last few weeks are reaching overhead supply too at the same time. That caught my attention. Here's the financial sector trying to break out, and what it caught my attention from financial specifically was the Big Six Bank Index. This is our index, our equally weighted index of JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley, right at the former highs. So this one caught my attention.
I love how TradFi gets a spot on Crypto Friday because, I mean, these stocks right now, the big banks are trading like altcoins.
For the record, Strazza, Crypto Friday's been around for, let's say, half a decade at this point. It's always included TradFi.
That's right. Well, I think we were texting yesterday, and I think I said to you, TradFi till I die, and I was kind of joking, but really not.
Dude. There's gonna come a day, and I'm surprised the day has not come, because it's definitely come for me in prior cycles, for the record. Where a coin comes up on our scan and it's breaking out, and I go to my Coinbase account and I can't buy it. And that's where you stop and say, oh, well, and you take your ball and go home. Me, I call my friends and I say, yo, we got these kids that we're about to beat up on. Meet me at the courts. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in the game, dude. I'm plugged in. I'm so in it. I'm calling offensive plays.
What's the over-under? What's the over-under, Spencer, on how long it takes for him to say, you know, I really like that chart. I got to go to this goddamn radium, you know, right?
That would depend on how well the stock market's doing, wouldn't it?
It will probably happen. I'll be honest.
It will happen. It will happen when Bitcoin's
going to be really late.
100,000.
Really late. Because I don't have that FOMO right now because there's other ones that I could buy on Coinbase that look the same or doing the same thing. Like, I'm getting my juice.
Honestly, most of the ones coming out on the algorithm down the cap scale, and even some of the big ones, Pepe coin is $3.5 billion, is 20th largest, and it's not on Coinbase.
I don't know. Back to Fonz though. He's talking about financials, industrials, materials. We're talking about energy. You wrote a post on the blog last week about growth versus value. All of these things you're saying make me think, oh my God, value's got to be crushing growth. Do we just throw these ratios out at this point? Like the large cap, the Russell 1000 growth versus value isn't showing any of this. I trust the table. I trust the rotation. I trust the internals that was showing in the table. I don't know what's going on with these ratios, but
Strazza, you're the one who said it coming into this year that the growth value ratio is not going to be very helpful this year. And I added to that and I said, well, as bull markets progress, and we're pushing 20 months already into this bull market, correlations come off and it's less pure. I agreed with you.
Do you find that we're ignoring more and more information as we have more and more experience in markets? I feel like we're doing less, not more consistently.
No, we weight information differently depending on where we are in the cycles. When stocks are coming off and volatility spiking, correlations shoot to 1. As that comes off and bull markets age, those correlations come off and these ratios are less important and less informative. It's just what it is. That's why you're feeling that way. It's not going to be like this forever. We're going to have a bear market and volatility is going to go to 50 and correlations are going to spike and these ratios are going to be very helpful.
I hope so, because they used to be.
when correlations were making new highs, not making new lows.
Let's continue to buy the best looking ones. There's relative strength in every group. You know, we're talking about rotation away from growth. We have winning trades in growth and tech just this week. Bonds is yellowing the DraftKings because he's a huge fan of March Madness. Want to talk about that?
I mean, yeah, I bought some calls on the DraftKings this week. 50 calls, expiration date April 19.
Yep.
So the price of the option already doubled yesterday. So close the position, half of the position. So we have free risk in this.
So bonds got the free
ride. Very nice.
Pretty good.
Okay.
All right, let's do some recess and let's get out of here.
Is it lame if I talk about Goldman Sachs for my recess? Throw it up.
No, I mean, I'm just a little bit upset that Strata was so expensive.
Oh, dude, I have a sad story about it. Bonds knows. Missed one.
What was your sad story? Oh, you got frustrated because it was taking too long.
I was in it. I was out of it. I was in it. I think took 2 shots, and I tried to put a trade in. What was it? 2 days ago, I sent Fonz my trade blotter. Didn't get filled into the close. Should have chased it because it was 4.5% the very next day. Would have been.
The way I learned it was limit orders, limit profits.
This is why this stuff is so fun, right? You can make the right call. The execution is more than half of it. It's so hard. It's so easy to mess up. We're plugged in.
Yep.
We're doing other work during the day. It's so easy to miss an entry or even miss an exit. I miss exits in the morning sometimes. We do the show the first half hour. You get the big uptick, and I say, "Oh my God, how did I not sell this?" Anyway, Goldman Sachs, from contraction comes expansion. This is one of the main tenets of technical analysis that they teach in the textbooks. Can we throw up the Bollinger Band chart? This thing was too tight for too long. Look in the lower pane here. This is the Bollinger Band with just absolute volatility crush and exploding out of this range. Talked about it. We watched it. Even we got skeptical on it. JC was like,
Think about this. Think about this. As many charts as I look at, and there are very few people on this planet that look at as many charts as I do. I can't remember a time that a stock traded like this that wasn't
crazy
acquired.
Goldman Sachs.
Can't tell you.
I know.
Can't tell you.
Back at all-time highs, and frankly, the whole space is kind of. Fonz showed the Big 6 index back at all-time highs. XLF back at all-time highs. Any of the capital markets or broker-dealers and exchanges funds, IAI, KCE back at all-time highs. Goldman Sachs back at all-time highs. When I look through financials, I like them a lot still, but a ton of overhead supply to deal with. Let's be patient. Maybe not the best place to enter new trades.
You think?
I mean, look, they keep working. It's something like Citigroup. It's up every day. These things are just melting higher. Nobody talks about them either.
General Electric. You want to talk about relative strength. You mentioned 2 things there that really stood out to me. General Electric, remember, it was making new highs before anything else. Market tipped its hand. And also capital markets. The relative strength of capital markets tipped its hand.
I just love how much you love GE. It's so Connecticut of you. As a Fairfield U grad, you're really staying true. And I appreciate that about you.
I don't give a fuck about General Electric. I like uptrends. I like relative strength. I like positive momentum. And GE has been that since people thought we were in a bear market. GE's breaking out to 5-year highs. I was like, the funniest looking bear market.
He likes it so much. He has a GE only appliance tool.
All right, I'm out. I got work to do.
Wait, when did they do that reverse split? That was the bottom, I swear, in that stock.
And spinning. And selling stuff.
Yeah.
The new, what is it? Larry Culp? Pulp, but Culp?
Yeah.
Job over there.
Yeah. All right. I think we're done. So thanks for hanging out. As always, everyone. Alfonso, Christian, Louis, everyone in the chat. This will be it for us for the week. We'll be back, of course, on Monday. You all know who Monday's guest is. Monday. Oh, we got a big week next week. Short week next week. Reminder, next Friday is a market holiday. Don't forget that, everybody. Next week, we'll have David Settle on the show, Larry McDonald, David Lundgren, and the one and only Louise Yamada.
What a lineup. Wow,
coming back to the show.
We just keep putting with the hits. What's the holiday? Friday? No
Good
show?
Friday
Oh, wow. Yeah.
is next Friday. Don't forget. Don't forget to smash the like while you're here. Thank you very much. Go make some money. We'll see you guys later.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Run it. I can't take no